Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Propagandacast. Lehr with me, a host Imperial Dane. We are off here to look at the Sturm Offizier available to the Oberkommando West and the Breakthrough Doctrine. Only one available at a time, by the way. 280 manpower. It's a 4-man unit. Equipped well with one officer with a Luger in hand and 3 Obersoldaten. And yes, those are Obersoldaten, basically meaning it's a unit that's actually capable of laying down some reasonably nasty fire, though of course they're lacking in a light machine gun. In that regard, can actually provide you with quite a boost in frontline fire power versus your evil American or communist foe. So there's always something to sort of try and keep in mind as sort of a starting detail on the Sturm Offizier. And of course, important to note, sort of quick splash up so to get action again, is that he generally provides units nearby with a decent combat bonus, making them much more lethal, increasing, I believe, accuracy and rate of fire, though there might be some slight mistakes there either way, making an infantry units nearby much more potent, and certainly units like the Volksminister benefit from that quite a bit. Of course, other units certainly also have quite a nice time from it as well. So overall, I mean, generally you want your Sturm Officer sort of be cooperating with other units if possible, since again it benefits your other units sort of getting more out of them, which in the case of the Volksminister is very much needed. Also, note the ability does not work on vehicles or tanks. I mean, it's only infantry that sort of benefits from his aura, so that's one thing there to keep in mind. A second thing also to keep in mind is he gains no veterancy, no experience. What you see is what you get. There's no sort of extra abilities or bonus things, or he just gets better. He's as good as you get him there. So that's also a bit there to sort of keep in mind when using him. Also, detail that's right to keep in mind: if the officer gets killed, he and other units nearby will retreat. Well, his men will retreat, since, you know, he's dead, so it's a bit difficult for him to retreat otherwise to the afterlife. But again, generally, units with the Sturm Officer, much more lethal, much more capable to actually put up a decent fight. Also note, he is in possession of 2 abilities. One is Force Retreat, which is, well, I think, as it says on the tin, it forces your opponent to sort of have 1 unit retreat. In that regard, it's very reminiscent of the old Force Retreat of the officer from Company 1. His second other ability is Target Them, which basically means, you know, the unit becomes, well, targeted, or the units will sort of be easier to hitting them. Get more bonuses towards that, but they will actually also fight back harder, so you have to sort of be a bit more mindful of things, because if you do it in the wrong place, you can sort of give him a few more extra kills. So be a bit mindful of when you use Target Them, otherwise you might sort of, you know, risk emboldening your opponent, or at least giving a few extra good kills. But otherwise, you know, use them together with your units. Be a bit careful, you know. Generally, you want some units between him and the enemy. You don't want him to charge in forwards. I mean, he should be close to the assault, but not too close either, because again, if he gets killed, the entire assault gets, well, messed up. Of course, at the same time, you don't want to blob up either, because again, I mean, you know, one good shot, and that's good night, Dieter, Fritz, Jürgen, Heinz, Helmut, and Bob. So that's also a little vital detail to keep in mind there when using the Sturm Offizier. Again, you want a bit of spread, but again, you know, you'll want him nearby to sort of keep the troops sort of fighting their best. And generally, you'd say you'd benefit from the Volksminister getting him to sort of support them if possible. I mean, I see a lot of players sort of neglecting using the Sturm Offizier, but generally, he's a pretty solid fellow. And certainly, he's also a lot easier to use than, say, the artillery field officer available to the Wehrmacht, who certainly lacks a lot in, how should one say, the utility department. That's also a little something to keep in mind there. Also note, he affects support weapons. They shoot a bit fast and such. So again, methods like this infantry should also benefit, though not hugely. Actually, there was a point where an infantry gun, for example, fired twice as fast, thanks to him nearby, but that's no longer the case. But generally, you always want him sort of near the action. What you don't want to do, for example, as we're seeing here, is just basically sort of hold him back. I mean, sure, the building sort of is close to the action, that's great, because he can still provide the aura there, but otherwise, I mean, you don't just want him hanging back doing nothing. That's essentially a waste of the unit, his potential, and well, overall the bonuses he provides. So generally, again, you want him near supporting some kind of unit. And there you go, moving up here to support the Pulse Grenadiers. Need to get a bit closer there. Bit closer. No, never mind. Otherwise, I mean, that largely covers them. Otherwise, you basically, you know, all the other things you have to keep in mind when you're using a 4-man rifle squad, you know. Don't run in front of submachine guns, light machine guns. Stay at range, generally. I mean, of course, that's even more important here. You want to try and avoid the officer getting killed. Though, again, with the orbital down, you can certainly get off a few good kills. So even then, I mean, even on his own, he's sort of not half bad. And otherwise, you know, try to use the ability to sort of quickly single out sort of units you want out of the way. And you can, for example, let's try to say, you know, there's a unit that's sort of retreating right through you, and you think, oh, you know, I could almost get it, but if you knew you could then use sort of target them to sort of maybe get an extra bonus to have a better chance of killing them on the retreat or something like that. But overall, you know, use them in that way with this ability to sort of turn the tide slightly more in your favour. Say, okay, that unit I actually want to get killed, that unit I just want out of there. For example, paratroopers suddenly flank you. Use force retreat to quickly get them out of your hair, for example, and target them. You can sort of use, oh, there's a really sort of an annoying unit that's holding up the defense, because it can also be used on team weapons, I believe. So use it, for example, there as well. Or say, for example, oh, hey, you know, quickly get that thing down, so, you know, it doesn't, say, wreck my tank. So in that regard, he's a sort of very strong utility unit, and certainly can be used in a lot of ways. So, I mean, don't be afraid to use him. He's generally sort of, you know, good. But again, also be sure to keep some units in front of him, something to sort of, you know, attract the attention of the enemy, so he's at least less likely to get killed, and thus cause a massive retreat. So I think with that, you know, that's largely the Sturm Officer there. Hopefully this shall give people a better chance in understanding him and of fighting him, his strengths, his weakness. And again, the 4-man squad is very much weakness. It means they're much more vulnerable to, you know, artillery and the likes. And again, with the one officer there again causing retreat, that's an extra little weakness that are added in for the good fun of it. So hopefully people will now be more enlightened and ready to fight. So thank you all for watching. Hope you learned, hope you enjoyed, and hope you'll keep on watching. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.